Today, on Running to Him, adhering to righteous instruction by our leaders brings adornment in righteousness. If you are joining us in going through Proverbs, today's reading is Proverbs chapter 1, verses 8 through 19, and we will read verses 8 and 9 and concentrate on verses 10 through 19. Proverbs 1, 8 and 9 says, "Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Indeed, they are a grateful wreath to your head and adornments about your neck." Solomon did not pick up on this truth out of thin air. In Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 7, Moses told the Israelite parents they were to teach their children all that had been commanded them, and by extension, the children were to follow these lessons. Parents are essential when it comes to teaching children right and wrong. However, we as a nation have handed the responsibility of training our children in righteousness to the government, and because the government has no moral boundaries, that which is being taught is not God's wisdom. John Adams, our second president, is quoted as saying, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." In our search for individualism, we have sacrificed our religious identity. We no longer look to an outside, unchanging influence, if you will. Rather, we look to ourselves or others like us to determine that which is right and wrong. Solomon tells us that we will have a completely different outcome if our parents are grounded in a relationship with God. Let's explore how he describes a parent's and, by extension, God's wisdom and teaching. First, we are to hear and not forsake our parents' teaching. Now, the verb to hear means more than just allowing a sound to resonate in your eardrum in such a way as to create a recognizable sound. It means to recognize and respond to something which is important. Counselors might call this active listening. We will hear something and then respond back in such a way as to help us understand that which we heard and let the speaker know that we accurately heard what they said. Now, there's a story of a farmer who wrote a government agency about using hydrochloric acid to clean out clogged drainage pipes. The agency wrote back using very scientific terms, telling the farmer that it was a bad idea to do that. The farmer, not understanding what they wrote, responded thanking them for agreeing with him. The letter writing went on for several cycles. Finally, the exasperated government official wrote in large uppercase letters, "Don't use hydrochloric acid in your pipes. It will eat the heck out of them." The farmer finally got the point. We are also not to forsake our mother's teaching. Unlike the positive command about our father's teaching, Solomon reinforces the truth by telling the son in the negative. He is not to abandon his mother's teaching. We are to receive and respond to both parents' teaching, and two parents are needed to communicate truth because both see life from different perspectives. God gives a child a mother and a father because ideally both are needed to adequately raise a child. In the case where one parent is missing, someone of the missing sex should be brought in to fill in the gaps. The result of following God's wisdom is equal to receiving a valued prize to adorn your body. Those who exhibit godly wisdom are seen as leaders in righteous living. Solomon then gives an example of a group of people who use the opposite of godly wisdom to drive home the point. Their behavior in verses 11 through 18 in taking away of the life of its possessors. The result of living in sin is death. Solomon's first truth is this: if you practice sin, that sin will eventually end in your death. Truth brings the adornment of righteousness. Sin brings the adornment of death. Thank you for listening. We pray that today's devotion was meaningful to you. We would love to hear from you. You can use either Facebook or YouTube to like, subscribe, share, and tell others about us. If you would like to contact us, you can reach me at phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.